Well, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AR Legends, and yeah guys, today I am back with the next part of what if Naruto was neglected by his family and had the powers of Jiren. So yeah guys, hopefully you guys like this part, and if you guys have not seen the previous part of this series, please check them out, you guys will definitely like them. So yeah guys, and before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to this channel and if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so, it will help me a lot. And as for the next part, the like goal is gonna be, let's see about it, 300 likes and 150 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as quick as possible. So yeah guys, please subscribe and like and comment. So yeah guys, without any further ado, let's start the video. As last time we left off as we saw that how Naruto, you can say, along with Menma and Naruto were finally admitted to the, you can say, the academy. In the meantime, Naruto was training with Guy Sensei as he saw that Guy Sensei had many, you can say, training exercises to increase the body's strength and power. But Naruto noticed something, that his body and his stamina was such that it takes a lot of those exercises to make him tired or try to make him, you can say, having a bit of strain. And it was not working that great. He could feel that now he had to, you can say, put a bit more effort to do these exercises, but these were still nothing. He could do it easily and it would not tire him that much. So Naruto decided to pay a visit to his father's library, thinking that it could be a bit helpful as Naruto go through some of the scrolls that were still lying around. As Naruto learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu, as he simply shrugged and remembered a single hand sign. It was a pretty useful jutsu, but nonetheless, he started to read a small book about the Jutsu. He knows the basic about it as Naruto read about it, and finally it came to the last word. It was the gravity sails and the weight sails. As Naruto's eyes widened at that, this could be the answer he was, you can say, looking for. As Naruto decided to use his shadow clone technique, which was able to make thousands with no trouble whatsoever, and started to learn, you can say, the whole Jutsu. And within a month and a half, he was easily able to master to the level 5, which was not that difficult, but he noticed that each level up increases in difficulty, though the lower level, like level 3, was nothing more than explosive tag and storage seal and things like that, as Naruto simply shrugged them off quite easily, learning them. And finally reaching the gravity seal, he was able to make them and making his own, you can say, gravity chamber for himself to increase his training in that section of a forest of death where not even Anko Mitarashi would come. After all, he does not want, you can say, intruders in his training. And finally, the day came when Naruto as well as Menma and Naruto were admitted to the academy, where a small tournament was going on since the council members wanted to see what the next generation has to offer at the beginning, and then at the last they will test them as well to see that who has the most potential. And the whole, you can say, tournament began, in which both Jiraiya, Tsunade as well as Minato and Kushina were pretty sure that Menma and Naruto, either one of them, are gonna win this, since it was a tournament and only one person is gonna win this. And in the end of the day, final match occurred between Naruto and Menma as the whole battle began, in which Jiraiya was simply smirking, thinking that Menma had it in the bag, and this will, you can say, even submit the fact that Menma is the superior one here, and Naruto will know his position, but you can say it did not turn out so well, as Naruto baited Menma quite easily with a single flick to his forehead, as Menma wasn't flying even after, you can say, utilizing a bit of Kyuubi's chakra. It was nothing, as most of the people were at awe after seeing the battle. So yeah guys, that was the last part where we left off as Menma was. Now let's begin the part here. As Menma blinked as he started to open his eyes, as he looked around to see that he was in a hospital, as he looked around to see Minato, Kushina as well as Jiraiya and Tsunade were looking towards him, as Tsunade started to, you can say, check his vital. Well, Minato, it seems that Menma has finally woken up. As Kushina speak up, Menma dear, are you alright? As Menma nodded and started to remember, as he finally remembered the battle which he had. It was a bit fuzzy in his memory, but it was still there, as Minato nodded and started to check the sail. As he speak up, well, it seemed that Menma, you have your first experience with that power which I have told you the special power that you have. As Menma nodded reluctantly, as you can say the occupants of the room were a bit surprised as Menma was looking towards them with, you can say, a bit of betrayal in his eyes. As Minato was confused about it, along with, you can say Jiraiya and Kushina, but Tsunade noticed that as he said, alright, we should leave now. Menma needs a bit of, you can say, rest. As after saying that, they simply went away. As inside of the Hokage tower, Minato was simply looking towards Jiraiya. As Jiraiya speak up, Minato, things are not right here. It seems that the training of Menma and Naruto are not going as well as we previously thought. As Minato raised an eyebrow, what do you mean by that, sensei? You know that we are already training them as best as we could, and they have even started to learn tree walking exercise at the age of 8, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. As Jiraiya said, yeah, I know that Menma and Naruto are quite, you can say, great at that point, but still, your other kid was still able to best him, which I still think that it's just a fluke. As Tsunade simply shook her head as he said, shut up, Jiraiya, it's not that. As Minato told us that he has been training with Might Guy, which means that he must be training in Taijutsu, and he did not use any ninjutsu, which you can say come up with the, you can say, think that Naruto is must be quite great in the taijutsu to defeat Menma, as well as you can say that Inuzuka, who are known to for their physical strength quite easily. As they simply nodded at that, as Jiraiya still did not like it, but still, I think that we should also start training of Menma and Naruto even further. As you can say, they simply nodded at that as Kushina speak up. What about Menma? Why was he looking towards it as if we have done something to him, Minato? But before he could answer, Tsunade speak up. Well, I think that it has something to do with Naruto. What he said to him in the battle. As I look towards her, well, perhaps you guys have forgotten. He did say that both Menma and Naruto are so weak and pathetic that they need the help of 4 legendary shinobis so that they can achieve at least something in their life or reach to the level of a Jonin. And suddenly all of them remembered Achirai growl at that little piece of shit. Who does he think he actually is to say something like that to my godson? As Kushina looked towards him. Jiraiya, Naruto is also your godson. Perhaps you have forgotten that, as Jiraiya wanted to say something but did not say it after seeing the look on the face of Tsunade. As he said, I know that, Kushina, but he did cross the limit and I think that he should be punished for that. As Minato sighed, as he started to put his hand in his hair, things did not go as he planned, but still, he had to admit that the battle which happened there, Naruto was pretty impressive in that battle. Maybe he should help him with his training as well. It seems that Might Guy has gone a bit further with the training of Naruto. As he simply shook his head, no, I simply cannot do it right now. I will train him when the time comes. At the moment, Menma and Naruto needs me more. After all, they are the child of the destiny, right? As he thought that in his mind, but nodded nonetheless as he said, well, Jiraiya-sensei, don't worry about it. I will talk with Naruto when the time comes. As Jiraiya simply looked towards him, that is beside the point, Minato. We have to train Menma and Naruto even further. I have decided to give both of them my toad contract as Tsunade speak up. Well, you're only giving toad contract to Menma. I'm the one who's gonna give the slug contract to Naruto. As both of them started to argue with each other, as Kushina simply chuckled. Well, why don't we ask Menma and Naruto about it? Now, you can say far away in the forest, you can say in a secluded area, as blurs for a normal eye, it would be like nothing was there. While in the suspended air or in a suspended time, as Naruto was moving at such a speed that world around him was stopping. For him at least, because in his eyes he was moving, his body was moving at such a speed that even you can say he can easily see flies which are flying around him, mosquitoes and things like that, even small birds which were flying within the air. He could easily see them trying to move their, you can say, wings to fly away or something like that. But Naruto was moving at such a speed, as well as gravity. At the moment, it was easily 50 times gravity of the earth, as of the elemental nation, which was still not that much compared to Naruto, but still it was noticeably harder for him to move faster, as well as he could feel a bit of pressure on his body. It was actually working. As Naruto simply smiled at that thought, he was going through his, you could say, fighting technique and he was sweating quite a bit. As after you can say 2 hours of straight training, of gravity training, he finally landed to the ground with a huff. Well, it seemed that his academy day did go good, at least he can say that. But to be honest, he does not think that he's gonna remain in the academy for too long. After all, those people are weak, weaker than normal, you can say, shinobis. But then again, they're just kids. Well, he's a kid as well, but he's a lot stronger than them. Well, maybe he could graduate early. Yeah, that could be possible. As he simply nodded in his head. Though he remembered the fight with his brother did use that power. Well, that was mainly chakra. He does not know what it actually is. But both Menma and Naruto have it, and it is quite similar. As Naruto looks towards his body, he does not feel that power inside of him, but rather he has a power which is far greater than that. His power could be the evolution of that power. But he simply shook his head. Well, he's not thinking clearly. His power is a lot different from that chakra, but he still has to name his power. So what to call it, huh? As he closes his eyes and started to focus his energy all around his body and started to channel it. As he was wondering what to call this power. And suddenly you can say a name came to him as at the back of his mind like it was calling him as Ki. As Naruto speak up. As he started to look around. As he focused in his energy once again, the name somehow suited this power. Well then, from here on out, he will call this power his Ki. Yeah, that could be, you can say, great. As Naruto put his hand together and started to focus that energy, trying to put it outside of the body. After all, he has never done something like this before. As he started to channel more of his energy into it, as he noticed that the energy was coming outside, making a small sphere in front of his eyes, as something was telling him to push it. As Naruto nodded in his mind and released the attack towards a section of a village. As Naruto was awed at a small, you can say, blast of energy released from his hand, rushing towards a section of a village or of the forest, and then boom, as a blast occurred, as destroying its section easily. As Naruto was looking toward the destruction that was caused by releasing bit of his, you can say, ki blast. As Naruto was smirking at that, well, it seemed that he has some other things to practice on it as well. As Naruto simply smiled at that thought, but at the moment he needs to go. While far away, as you can say, Menma has just been released from the hospital, he was walking angrily. As he noticed that Naruto was also there, as Menma simply ignored her as Naruto started to follow him. So, how are you feeling, Menma? As Menma simply glared towards her. What do you think I'm feeling, huh? I'm alright. As Naruto sighed. As I know that you have lost to Naruto Nisa, but still, you should not be that angry. As Menma speak up, angry? I'm not angry. As Naruto sigh, Menma, you're getting difficult now. As Menma simply scoff, we have been training by four, you can say, two of the Sanin and two of the legendary shinobi. Our father is the Hokage, a double S-rank shinobi. And we are being trained by them, and he came out of nowhere, trained by none of the legendary shinobi, and still he defeated us. As he defeated me like it was nothing, even when I used that special power. Our father was always saying that both of us has it, and he does not. See, did you hear me? He does not have it. As he, you can just shout it at her. As she flinched a little, as she sighed, Menma. As Menma simply shook his head. As, do you think, as Menma speak a bit, you can say softly, do you think that he was right? That we are only being trained by our father and our mother and you can say to our godparent because we are weak? As Naruto simply shook her head. I don't think that we easily defeated all other shinobis there, right? But we did not defeat him, did we? As Naruto was silent at that, as both of them were quite silent at this point. After all, their brother, there was always this feeling around him whenever they looked towards him, a feeling of power, a aura of dominance, and something inside of them was always telling them to make distance between him, as something was always telling him to not provoke that man, otherwise there will not nothing remain of them. As there was always that feeling that make both of them, you can say, feel quite inferior to their brother, and this angered them and made them a bit jealous. Even with all the attention they were getting from their parents, there was always a look in his eyes telling them that they were weak, no recognition in their eyes. Deep down they, you can say, wanted the recognition from their brother, even though, you can say, they might be angry and things like that, and they wanted this feeling of inferiority in their, you can say, bodies to go away, but it was never, it was always there. No matter what they do, no matter how hard they actually train, as Nenma clenched his fist, no matter, I'm gonna train even harder, I will ask Pavisage to train me even more. As Naruto simply nodded at that. Yeah, I will ask him to train me even more. I will not accept this. As well as Menma looked towards her a bit surprised but nodded nonetheless, as both of them smiled towards each other and decided to go back to, you can say, their home to ask for more training. No matter, they will have the recognition from their older brother. And now, far away, Naruto was simply, you can say, decided to pay a visit to Guy Sensei, who was still training. As Naruto noticed him as he speak up. Hello, Guy Sensei. As Guy looked towards him, Yosh, Naruto-kun, your flames of youth are burning as brightly as I see. So, how can I help you, Naruto-kun? Might want to join me in my training session? As Naruto simply chuckled, he started to get a bit used to the humor of Guy. To be honest, he does not have a lot of friends in the village, and he was not that close to his godparents like his siblings are, nor he is that close to his father or his mother. The only person he talks frequently is actually Guy, and he likes his humor. Well, he's not gonna, you can say, wear his green spandex, though red and black definitely, you can say, intrigue him a little bit. Though he simply shook his head as he said, well, Guy Sensei, if you don't mind, I would like to join as well. As Guy gave him a thumbs up as both of them started to go into push-ups. As Naruto speak well, today was my first day at the academy. As Guy simply smiled, well, I did hear something like a tournament going on, but I was, you can say, on a small mission from Lord Hokage. As Naruto simply nodded at that. Yeah, the tournament did occur. To be honest, it was pretty boring. As Guy gives him a thumbs up as he said, well, so how did you do, huh? As Naruto said, well, to be honest, it was quite boring and I won it pretty easily. As this surprises Guy a little, but damn, it does not surprise him that much. As he said, huh, so who did you fight, huh? As Naruto said, well, it was, you can say, a dog first, I don't know. As Guy laughed, huh, must be a Nuzuka. And the other person, as Naruto simply shrugged and decided to speak up as he said, well, there was another guy, I don't remember his face, he was quite weak. And the last one was my brother, Menma. As Guy stopped at that, he knows about the training both Menma and Ruko are getting. Sometimes he thinks that if Naruto is jealous about it, but after, you can say, looking towards the face of his, he does not think that Naruto is a type of jealous person. As he said, so how did it go, huh? As Naruto said, well, he has improved a little, but still he was not strong enough to do actual damage to me. As Guy simply nodded at that. As he said, well, I don't know. They always seem too weak. I don't think that they will ever become strong enough to give me a challenge or something like that. As Guy raised an eyebrow at that. What do you mean by that, Naruto? As Naruto said, well, you know that mom and dad are quite worried about them. After all, they're training them specifically. I think that they are too weak. And they wanted him to at least, you can say, survive in the ninja world. As you have said it yourself, that the ninja world is a dangerous world and they are so weak. And that is the reason even my godparents are training both of them to at least make them strong enough to survive in the ninja world. As Guy, you can say, stop at that. This was actually a, you can say, a pretty decent theory. As he looked towards Naruto, by looking towards his face, he could easily tell that Naruto truly believes that thought. While on the other hand, it was not actually the case. They were being trained to control the power of a Biju, not because they were too weak to be a challenge. But then again, he has seen this kid what he can actually do. The training regime which my guy, the Taijutsu expert, was doing. This kid was easily matching him at the age of 8 only. And which was quite, you can say, surprising and pretty great of a thing. As he simply nodded nonetheless, if his parents, this is not his, you can say, right to speak about it. As he simply nodded at that. Well then, Naruto-kun, so what are you gonna do about it? As Naruto simply shrugged. As he said, well, hopefully in the future they will become strong enough to at least survive in the ninja world. And I don't have much hope for them to give me a decent challenge or something like that. As Guy nodded nonetheless, as he said, well, don't forget your training, Naruto, because in this world, scales are also important. As Naruto nodded at that, he already knew about it. After all, Guy Sensei was a great person, even though most people do not, you can say, accept or you can say, encourage, even though most people do not recognize it, but still, he could easily see it. As after that, he simply nodded. Well then, Guy Sensei, I think that I should go back to the home. I'm getting a bit hungry. As Guy simply nodded and gave him a thumbs up. As Naruto nodded back and decided to go back. Now, into the Makaze mansion, as there was a bit of silence in the dinner room as both Jiraiya, Tsunade, Minato, Kushina, as well as Menma and Naruto were having a bit of dinner. As Kushina spoke up, Minato, why Naruto is not here? As Minato said, well, don't worry about it. He will be back soon enough. As Kushina simply nodded at that, as Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at the name of Naruto, something was inside of him telling him that this Naruto kid is trouble for the future. Though he simply shook it off, he is not that close to his, you can say, first godson. Though he's more close to Menma and Naruto as Menma speak up. Dad, I wanted to ask you something. As Minato looked towards him, as he speak up, as he said, I wanted to ask you, do you really think that both me and Naruto had some special power? Because I do not know about it. As and if it is, why does we have it and what it is? And why Naruto Nisan does not have it? As there was silence in the room, as Minato sighed, Menma, when the time comes, I will tell you about it. As Menma, this made Menma a bit angry. As he said, what do you mean by that? As after all, we are triplets. If both of us has it, which means that Naruto Nisan also should have it. Why is not being trained with us? As Naruto also nodded at that, as Jiraiya spoke up before Minato could answer. Well, Menma, you see that both you and your sister are special. You have this power gifted to you, and you have a, you can say, duty to the future. As Menma looked towards him, what do you mean by that? But before Jiraiya could say anything, as Naruto speak up, no, you're just lying to us. All of these things you're just telling us to make us feel better, don't you? This surprises this whole, you can say, gathering. As Minato speak up, what are you talking about, Naruto? As Menma speak up, I know about it now. Yeah, I know it. As Minato looked towards him, all of you think that both of us are weak and we needed the help of all four of your shinobi and all of your training to become anything in the future, to become at least a jonin or survive in the ninja world. Naruto Nisan was right. If we do not have any special power, you are just trying to make us feel better. This surprises all of them. As Tsunade was already, you can say, going through in her head how they came to this conclusion, but then again, how easily Naruto defeated Menma and saying that how he's only getting the training because you can say they were weak and things like that. This actually made sense from one point of view, but it was completely wrong conclusion. As Kushina speaker, Menma, we do not think that you're weak or something like that. As your godfather said it, you have a special power. As Menma speak up, so yeah, what is this special power? I have never felt it inside of me. As all of them simply looked towards Menma as well as Naruto nodded. Yeah, I have also never felt anything of such power. And we are triplets for God's sake. If we inherited this power, then mom should have it, dad should have it, or at the very least, Naruto Nisan should have this power as well. As there was silence in the room, they simply cannot tell the triplets, oh yeah, both of you have the nine tails still inside of you. So yeah, we just want to train you. And sorry Naruto, you do not have it. So go away. As as they simply looked towards each other, as Jiraiya was getting a bit, you can say, distracted and a bit frustrated. This was because of that Naruto brat. He should have a talk with him, not putting such thoughts in the, you can say, the head of the child of destiny. He should be trusted of them, not him, as he growled lowly at that. As Minato speak up, enough Menma. As Menma looked towards his father, who was angry at this point. Enough of this talk. You and Naruto, both of you, go to your rooms. We will talk to you tomorrow. As they wanted to argue, but Minato gave both of them a look as they nodded nonetheless and walked away. As when they went away, as Jiraiya speak up, you see, Minato, this is all the fault of that kid. As Minato looked towards Jiraiya, alright, I will talk with Naruto. He will not say such thing to Menma and Naruto again. As Kushina speak up, Minato, I don't think that Naruto said it to taunt Menma or anything. When he was talking, I was sensing his emotions as she looked towards Tsunade, who nodded. As she said, he truly believes that we are training Menma and Naruto because both of them are weak, or at least in his eyes. I think that it has something to do with his, you can say, sensory ability. He must be able to compare his chakra levels, or you can say his chakra levels, to the levels at which both Menma and Naruto are at. And you and I both know the levels at which Naruto is somehow, even without the power of the Nine Tails. I think that he has inherited a bit of Nine Tails power from me, which is increasing his chakra reserves at such a rapid rate. As Minato thought it for some time, from a point of view, this does make sense. And he would be able to compare his power to Menma and Naruto, and at the ease he defeated both Menma, or he defeated Menma, who is actually stronger than Naruto, was must have, you can say, solidified his, you can say, beliefs even further. As he said, this was all a mess, one after another. As Jiraiya speak up, so what if he has more chakra? Both Menma and Naruto has the reserves of the Nine Tails, and when they will access it, they will easily dwarf his chakra levels. And on top of that, he does not have skills to match both Menma and Naruto. At this, all of them simply look towards Jiraiya. As he said, what? It was all a bluff and nothing like that will ever happen. After all, we have trained both Menma and Naruto personally. Surely that kid has not gotten that strong, right? Has Tsunade sighed, Jiraiya, you old fool. You have seen that how he only defeated Menma using Taijutsu when Menma was using the Nine Days power. And Jiraiya speak up, yeah, that is the same thing I'm saying. When he used that power, he was not himself and he must have forgotten our training. Trust me, in terms of scale, that kid has nothing on Menma and Naruto. As they simply sigh, as Minato already knew that how, you can say, his sensei could actually get Jiraiya favoritism is actually legendary. Jiraiya, you can say, drop out both of his students when he was the sensei of the team, when Minato decided to show some, you can say, talent, and how both of his team members, or one of them, simply retire from the, you can say, profession of a shinobi because his sensei was simply not teaching him much and became a chef at the ramen stand known as Ryuji, as well as the other person simply died because of the poor teaching of Jiraiya, while Minato was grateful for whatever, you can say, his sensei has taught him all over the years, as well as consider him like a father figure. He still did not forgive his sensei for, you can say, all that favoritism which he showed him, and because of that there was quite a bit of, you can say, animosity between himself as well as that other, you can say, shinobi which he had in his team, who unfortunately died in a mission. As Minato simply shook his head, and now same thing is happening because his sensei is showing favoritism to his other two children who has the power of the Nine Tails, and not the one who does not have it. But Naruto has talent, he could actually see it. But this is getting out of track. As he said, alright sensei, I will talk with Naruto on the later date, alright? As Jiraiya simply huffed, alright, I'm leaving. Now, you can say far away Naruto simply walking in the village. Most people recognize him and show him a bit of respect, as Naruto simply nodded back. After all, there are some privileges being the son of the Hokage, but Naruto noticed that some people were trying to hide from him as well as following him, as Naruto simply looked at back and simply vanished from the eyes of his watchers, as these were none other than ambus which Minato has placed on Naruto recently to see what kind of training Might Guy was giving to Naruto to increase his physical strength this much. As both of the ambus were surprised, as suddenly they heard a voice behind them. Hey, why are you following me and who are you guys? As you can say, both of them were surprised as they quickly spun around and their hands at their kunai pouch as they noticed that this was, you can say, the son of the Hokage. As Naruto simply looked towards them with a raised eyebrow but eyes narrowed nonetheless, as you can say, as one of the ambus pick up, how did you arrive here, kid? As Naruto simply looked towards him. I was the one who asked the question first. Who are you guys? And I do not, you can say, see any symbol of the leaf, but you are shinobis. So I will ask you the last time, who are you? As you can say, the Ambu with the cat mask speak up. Naruto, we are the shinobis of Konoha as well, and we are the elite force of the Hokage. As Naruto simply raised an eyebrow at that. Oh really now? So where is your vest of a Jonin or Chunin? As Ambu simply chuckled as he said, we are not Jonin or Chunin, we are the elites, we are the Ambu. As Naruto looked towards them, Ambu you say, I have never heard about them. As you can say, the girl with the cat mask started to humor the kid. Well, you see, Naruto, Ambu are the elite division of the Konoha, and we are not, you can say, publicly known that much or put in the books of the academy children. We are mostly, you can say, known to Chunis, even to some Ganins as well, though mostly the higher level shinobis. And don't worry, we are not here to attack you or anything like that. We just simply saw you and decided to, you can say, make sure that you reach your home safely. As Naruto could already detect a bit of, you can say, lie in that statement, but simply shrug it off. It is not his concern at the moment. So he decided to, you can say, nod it as he said, well, try to keep up in that case. And with a small smile, and he vanished from the eyes of both, you can say, both of the Ambos as they were taken aback from that, as the Ambo with the visual mask narrowed his eyes within his, you can say, mask, as suddenly his eyes glowed with, you can say, red as he started to look around as the Ambo with the cat mask speak up. Weasel, did you detect him? As Weasel simply shook his head, I do not know how is this even possible, but he has simply vanished from the area. I simply cannot detect his chakra, you can say, signal anymore. As you can say, Ambu with the cat mask nodded and decided to go towards the Hokage mansion to give the report. While on the outside, Minato as well as Kushina were in their home. As Kushina sighed as she said, Minato, what about Menma and Naruto? You were a bit angry at both of them. As Minato sighed as he said, well, they were getting difficult, Kushina. As Kushina sighed as well, it is quite, you can say, logical for them to come up with such a conclusion after being defeated in such a manner, and the person telling them that how they are only getting training because they are so weak. As Minato sighed, I simply cannot, you can say, fault Naruto for saying such a thing because he must have come up with a conclusion seeing that his sensory ability and things like that. As Kushina sighed, well, we have to do something about it, but don't get too angry at Menma and Ruko. But before Minato could say anything, he felt a signal of the Ambu. As Minato narrowed his eyes as he said, alright Kushina, I'll be seeing you around. Okay, I have some things to take care of. As Kushina nodded, she already has sensed the Ambu signal as so she did not say anything as Minato simply vanished at a yellow flash as he arrived in front of both of his Ambo who were kneeling in front of Minato. As Minato simply looked towards them. What's the matter? Why are you here? As Ambo with a visual mask speak up, well Lord Hokage, we wanted to give you the report. As Minato raised an eyebrow. So why did you decide to come here? You could have easily given me the report tomorrow, right? As you can say Itachi simply shook his head. It was of great importance, Lord Hokage. As Minato simply nodded. So what's the matter? Last thing I remember, I told you to keep an eye on Might Guy and Naruto to see what kind of training Might Guy is putting Naruto through. As he simply nodded. Well, Lord Hokage, Naruto only trains Might Guy occasionally, and they usually do some push-ups, sit-ups, and some other, you can say, physical conditioning exercises, and some laps around, you can say, Konoha. Though Naruto often, you can say, from what we see, Naruto does not participate in them that much. He often goes in the forest to train himself. So we did not follow him that much, seeing that he is mostly, you can say, in the library after that. But unknown to most of them, or both of them, as it was actually a shadow clone which Naruto always left at you can say, at library to read something. And his chakra reserves are so much that even the shadow clone is radiating so much chakra that they thought that it must be, you can say, real Naruto. And Naruto always slowed time. Well, of course himself to vanish from the area to definitely go to Forest of Death so nobody knows about it. So, as a speaker, well, not only that, Lord Hokage, we have something to tell you. When we were coming back, as they decided to give the report, and needless to say, Minato was shocked to hear that. Are you sure about it, Itachi? Are you sure that it is not some kind of joke? Because if it is, I'm not gonna be pleased about it. As Itachi simply shook his head, it is not like that, Lord Hokage. We are giving you the perfect report, and we have seen it in front of our eyes. Naruto simply vanished from the area, and before you ask, no, it is not the flying Thunder God technique because there was no flash or anything like that. He simply moved. I was able to get a small glimpse of it with my Sharingan, but the speed he was moving was simply something else. As Minato was pondering about it, if you can say a person who has 3 Tomo Sharingan was only able to get a glimpse how fast Naruto could actually be moving. As he simply shook his head, alright, I will talk to him tomorrow. As both of them simply nodded. As Minato nodded in his head, yeah, tomorrow I will have to talk to him. As now let us have a bit of timescape. As Naruto was simply sitting in the you can say academy and listening to the boring lectures of Ruka as Ruka speak up. Alright class, today I have to end it here because of some applications, and at the later time I have to do you can say a graduation test for the higher class, and I know that you guys are just here though I will have to tell you because of the whole you can say for formality. If any of you think that you can actually graduate, then you are free to submit your application and we will have a small bit of test as a Ruka chuckle after that. After all, these are just kids, and by doing so, most of them will realize that how tough the graduation exam actually is. Though he was not expecting, you can say, people to actually raise their hand, as most of them were simply nervous about it. Even the arrogant Uchiha did not say so, and then suddenly Naruto stood up. Well, Aruka sensei, I would like to submit my application for early graduation. As Aruka was quite surprised at that, as he said, as he remembered this kid, this was the son of the Hokage. This surprises most of the class as Aruka speak up, Naruto, are you sure about it? As Naruto simply nodded at that, as Aruka simply looked around the class, as most of them were simply looking towards that kid, as especially Menma and Naruko, as that feeling was still once again on top of their you can say head. As Menma was about to raise his hand to ask for the early graduation, but Naruko grabbed his hand as she simply shook her head. As Menma, you can say growled a little bit, but did not say anything. As at the moment they know some jutsu, but they have still you can say some things to learn from the academy, and their parents have specifically told them to not do something like this. As but they were wondering why Naruto was you can say raising his hand. Surely it has been only a single day of the academy, and that was just a you can say a bit of whole tournament and things like that. Surely he does not think that he can graduate, right? As Iruka simply nodded nonetheless as he said, well then Naruto, if you have to graduate, then you have to have a signature on this form from your parents, and in your case from the Hokage, since your father is the Hokage. As Naruto grabbed the form and nodded nonetheless as he vanished, or rather you can say decided to leave the room as quick as possible. As Iruka simply shook his head, surely the kid is not you can say ready to be able to graduate. The Hokage will take care of this situation, and he would not have to decline the son of the Hokage. Win-win for him. So he decided to, you can say, give his lecture to the other class members, while on the other hand, Minato as well as Jiraiya were discussing some things as about the spy network, as well as Hiruzen and Sarutobi was also there helping Minato. And then suddenly there was a knock on the door as secretary, you can say, stepped in as she said, well Lord Hokage, your son Naruto is here to visit you. At the name of Naruto, as Jiraiya narrowed his eyes. As Minato was also a bit surprised. There is not, you can say, a lot of, you can say, contact between him and Naruto. He was always a distinct child. As, but nodded nonetheless, alright, send him in. As secretary nodded at that and decided to leave. As Hiruzen was also looking forward to seeing the kid. After all, he had, you can say, seen that kid fight, and he has to say he was impressed. From seeing such a battle for someone like him to stop the attacks, he was reminded for a moment that of Tsunade. But surely Tsunade had not taught the kid about the super strength secret, right? Last time he remembered, they were training both Menma and Naruko, and they have too much chakra to control in such a manner to increase their strength, right? As finally Naruto stepped inside as he had a small form in his hand as Minato looked towards Naruto. Well Naruto, how can I help you, and why are you not in the academy? As Naruto looked around, as he looked towards you can say Third Hokage as he bowed a little, Lord Third, as Hiruzen gave him a, you can say, friendly godfather, you can say grandfatherly smile. Well, Naruto-kun, it seems that you have grown up quite greatly, huh? Last time I remember, you were only a 4-year-old kid. As Naruto smiled at that, yeah, I know that. As well as, I remember that you also have your own grandson now. As Hiruzen chuckled a little, well, if you want to, you can visit him sometime. He's quite a handful. As Naruto smiled at that and nodded nonetheless. As he looked around, as he noticed his godfather giving him a strange look, but Naruto simply ignored it. This was not, you can say, his worries. After all, there is not only, you can say, a great relation between him as well as his godfather. As he looked towards his father, as he said, well, father, it seemed that I have decided to, you can say, graduate early. And for that, Iruka sensei gave me this form to have your own signature, as Minato was taken aback from it. As Jiraiya simply chuckled at that as he said, kid, I must say that you have quite the confidence, or if I must say, quite the arrogance, if you really think that you're ready to graduate. Huh, how much time it has, you can say, for you to do so, huh? Well, if I'm not mistaken, one day when you have been admitted into the academy and you think that you're ready to take the graduation exam, as Naruto looked towards Jiraiya strangely as he said, well, I'm confident that at my current level I can pass the graduation exam quite easily. As Jiraiya simply scoffed at that. As Minato speak up, Naruto, why do you think that you're ready to graduate if I'm not mistaken? You have just, you can say, went to academy yesterday and now you want to graduate. As Naruto looked towards him. As I said it, father, I think that I'm ready to take the graduation exam. As Minato was about to decline, when you can say Jiraiya speak up, well, Minato, I think that you should allow the kid to take the graduation exam. It will show him his level. He thinks that just because he has gotten lucky by defeating Menma, he thinks that he is ready to take the graduation exam. It will show him a bit of, you can say, humility. As Minato, you can say, gave a small glare towards his sensei as he simply shook his head. But before he could say anything, as he doesn't speak up, well, Minato-kun, I don't agree with Jiraiya, but it will definitely be a bit of experience for young Naruto-kun. Why don't you allow it? And after all, the exam is still the exam. It will show him what is ahead of him to become a Genin. As Minato simply looked towards both of them as he looked towards Naruto. Naruto, are you sure about it? As Naruto simply nodded at that as Minato sighed and decided to signature it. As I said, alright, I hope that you're ready. After all, at the 5 p.m. you have to take the exam in front of, you can say, most of the class. As Naruto simply nodded at that and grabbed the paper and simply decided to leave as Jiraiya simply chuckled. Huh, well, that will definitely show him a bit of humility. As Minato looked towards him, what's wrong with you, sensei? Why are you acting in such a manner? As Jiraiya said, trust me, I'm giving him a favor by showing him a bit of humility. He will come to the track and realize that he's not all that special. And trust me, he will apologize soon enough to Menma and Naruto for saying such a things. As Minato simply shook his head, as Hiruzen simply looked towards the kid, there was a feeling in his gut that he has seen a legend just legend in making. But he simply shook his head. Well, the future is always uncertain, I suppose. As Minato said, alright then. It seems that we have to pay a visit to the academy to see how well he actually performs. Don't worry, Lord Third. As Hiruzen simply smiled, well, I can always bring, you can say, Konohamaru with me, right Minato? As Minato simply nodded at that, as Jiraiya simply chuckled as he said, well then, I should bring, you can say, Tsunade and Kushina to see the kid failing, right? As he simply chuckled and decided to leave, as both, you can say, both Hiruzen and Minato gave Jiraiya a strange look, but simply shrugged it off. At least they will be there to console Naruto if, you can say, things did not go as planned, but something inside of Hiruzen was telling him that this was gonna be a great one. So now a bit of time skip as Iruka was a bit surprised that the Hokage has actually signed the form as well as his own stamp, which also surprises most of the members of the class, though they simply were looking forward to see what the Ganon exam is all about, as even Menma and Naruto were surprised that their father has actually signed the form, which angered both of them a bit because that feeling was once again coming back. This only you can say solidifies their belief that their parents think that both of them are actually weak and Naruto is a strong one. That is the main reason they're giving them the special training so that they can at least become a bit stronger and not being a humiliation to their older brother as they clench their fists at the thought. While, on the other hand, Naruto was simply looking towards the class of the graduates, which was all 13-year-old, as Iruka as well as Mizuki and another teacher was, you can say, there. As Iruka speak up, alright, today is a graduation exam, and we have some other participants who want to, you can say, try their luck, as most of them glared towards Naruto, who simply ignored them. Though most of them knew that he was the son of the Hokage, as one of the members simply scowled as he said, well, he thinks that just because he's the son of Hokage, he can graduate early, huh? Huh, well then, guess what? You're not ready to be a Genin, so I would advise you to leave now. As Naruto simply looked towards him with a bored expression and with a look that was, you can say, as if you can say someone was looking towards a ant ready to step on it, which you can say gave the kid a strange feeling. But he glared back towards Naruto, who simply shook his head as Iruka said, alright, enough of this. Mizuki, distribute the papers, shall we? As Mizuki simply nodded and started to distribute all the papers. As Naruto looked towards his paper, and to be honest, it was easy, quite easy. After all, when you have many and many shadow clones always learning things in the library as well as going through books like they were nothing. So it was pretty easy for him as Naruto quickly ended the whole as while on the outside, you can say in the office of Hokage from the crystal ball, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Kushina, Minato, as well as Hiruzen were watching it, as well as Konohamaru, who was just a 3-year-old kid, was watching it as well. As day has finally ended after 10 minutes as Naruto simply folded the paper as Jiraiya chuckled. It seems that the kid has already realized that he's not on the level and ready to be verged on the tears. Huh. As you can say, Hiruzen gave Jiraiya a strange look as Minato shot him a bit of glare. As Jiraiya simply shrugged, well, I told him he was not ready to become a Genin, didn't I? As Ruka, after 1 hour, speak up, alright, that is enough, pencils down. As he started to collect the paper and started to, you can say, mark them as he speak up, alright, all of you guys come out. And it's about time to test your accuracy with Shuriken and Kunai as all of them started to throw their weapons. As Naruto looked towards, you can say all those things. He has definitely told some of the shadow clones to work on it. And since muscle memory is also a memory transfer, a part of the, you can say, memory transfer, he knows how to throw it. As he grabbed most of them in both of his hands, just like this, he has seen one of the, you can say, Jonin to try it and threw all of those things at the same time as Ruka and most of the class were a bit surprised or rather shocked when from the target all of those kunai and shuriken pierced through the dummy and slammed into the boulder on the opposite side, making large cracks into it and slamming into it permanently as Ruka and most of the Chunin were surprised as they were wondering if the kid has put chakra into it. As Ruka looked towards the dummy, all of the points, heart and things like that were, you can say, pierced through with it. So he simply looked towards his fellow teacher who simply looked towards, you can say, the dummy as well as the kunai shuriken but nodded nonetheless. It seemed that they have a prodigy in their hands. As Jiraiya simply scoffed, well, it seemed that the kid has some talent at least from the kunai and shuriken. Well, good for him. He might become a chunin in his life at least. As now you can say Tsunade was getting a bit irritated with Jiraiya. Jiraiya, one more word and I'm gonna send you flying to the hospital. As Jiraiya backed down a little. As Minato started to watch it even further intently as Iruka speak up, alright, it's about time for the taijutsu. As the whole battle began as Mizuki was the one who was paired up against Naruto. As Mizuki said, alright kid, I will try to go easy on you, shall we? As Naruto simply looked towards him as he said, alright, let's begin this. As Mizuki launches himself towards Naruto trying to throw punches and you can say kicks as Naruto was dodging between all of them like it was nothing. As Naruto grabbed the hand of Mizuki, twisted it just like Gai Sensei had taught him and pushing his feet back as he swung Mizuki in the air as Mizuki was taken aback from the sheer force and energy, slamming Mizuki to the ground, pushing him, you can say, outside of the ring as most of the people were surprised. Nothing like this has ever happened as Mizuki quickly, you can say, made some distance. But then he looked towards his, you can say, hand as red lines were made from the mere grab of an 8-year-old kid, the force and the energy he felt between, you can say, behind that grave was really something else. As he looked towards the kid, as Iruka speak up, well, it was the rule to whoever, you can say, put the feet of the enemy to the ground first is gonna win. Well, not many people knew about it because it is always the Chunis who are giving chances to Genins, and it has ended so quickly, and the speeds at the, you can say, at which the kid dodged the attack of Mizuki was really impressive. As Hiruzen speaker, well, that is some taijutsu, and the speed of the kid is really something else, Minato. I did not knew that you were giving him training at his speed. As Minato simply shook his head, but decided not to answer it at the moment. As Iruka speak up, alright, it's about the last exam. After this, I'm gonna, you can say, announce the results. So, shall we begin? As they simply nodded as Jiraiya was watching along with all of the members, as Kushina was wondering how Naruto is gonna do that after all. They never trained him in the ninjutsu, and same is the case with Academy since he had decided to take the exam so early after attending for one day. As Iruka speak up, alright, now, you can say Naruto, clone jutsu, and the things like that. As Naruto started to go through the substitution, it was easy. After that, you can say substitution and transformation. As Naruto transformed into, you can say, Menma. As Iruka said, Naruto, change into someone else because you have simply changed your hair and a bit of, you could say, your facial structure. As Naruto simply shrugged as he transformed into the third Hokage. As Iruka was quite surprised for the moment, transformation was ultimately perfect. As he simply nodded and put the marks down as he said, alright Naruto, the final, the clone jutsu. As Naruto simply nodded as he made a single hand sign as Minato quickly realized what the seed actually was, as well as the most of the members, as Naruto did not even say anything, as suddenly, you can say, from the smoke came 5 shadow clones, like, you can say, perfect clones. As Iruka looked towards all of them, he could feel their shadows, as well as how they were, you can say, standing on the ground. These clones were perfect, solid clones, as he was taken aback from it. As he looked towards Naruto, was a bit surprised as he said, well, Naruto, it's about you graduated, but if you want, you can perform a jutsu for, you can say, extra credit. As Naruto simply nodded as he came outside, as most of the class was watching this as well. As Naruto did not even weave through hand sign, as he put a single hand sign just for show, as he breathed you can say a bit air in and then released it as a gigantic fireball was rushing towards several trees and blowing them apart. As Naruto did not put that much chakra into it, but that fireball could easily be on the level that of a Jonin performing it, not any Jonin, and Uchiha Jonin performing it. And Uchihas are perfect in using fire ninjutsu, as they were taken aback from this all. As Iruka, as well as Mizuki, as well as the other teachers simply look towards each other and then look towards the kid. This kid is definitely gonna be something in the future. As Iruka said, alright, you go inside. I will announce it later. As Naruto simply nodded as he came inside, as most of the class were looking towards Naruto with awe in their eyes. As Iruka quickly, you can say, completed the marks and he speak up, alright, I have already marked as well as your whole exam is ended here. So I'm gonna announce the results. As he started to speak up, on the first position is, as all the people were silent as he speak up, Naruto Namikaze. As most of the people were taken aback from it, as one of the shinobi stood up. But Iruka Sensei, how is that even possible? He's just an 8-year-old. He simply cannot, you can say, do something like this. As Iruka simply shook his head, he has answered all the questions perfectly, and he's the only one who has gained 100 marks in it. As they were taken aback from it, as well as his, you can say, ninjutsu, taijutsu, as well as his other things also got the perfect score, and he's the only one who has gotten the bonus marks. So, from doing so, he is to be considered the Rookie of the Year, or at least in the first position, since he has not attended the academy, so he will not get the credit marks of that. But that other jutsu which he performed from the extra credit marks has already, you can say, cancelled that thing out. So hereby I announce Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze to be the Rookie of the Year. As most of the class were taken aback from it, even Jiraiya was looking like a gaping fish. As he said, but how? Is that it is not possible? He only wrote it for 10 minutes. It should not be possible. As Hiruzen simply chuckled. Well, Minato, it seems that we have another prodigy on our hands, huh? Someone who might be even, you can say, greater of a prodigy than you were. As Minato was simply looking towards him, he did not expect it when he signed those form that Naruto would actually graduate. He just thought that Naruto would get an idea about, you can say, the Ganon exams and things like that. And since he was too confident, he did not want it to say no to his son. And now he has graduated and he does not even know what to do about it. He did not want it, any of his children to graduate this early. He was just 8 years old, as Kushina was also a bit happy and nervous and worried about the kid, as Tsunade was also, you can say, quite surprised, while inside of the mind of Jiraiya the world was different. No, 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 it is not possible. This is not how it's supposed to be. Man, my Naruto are supposed to be the child of destiny, and Naruto is supposed to be an extra. You can say support to both of them. He should not be stronger than both of them. As he looked towards Naruto, who finally had his headband and he was tying it to his, you can say, forehead, as his thought in his mind, he is a threat to the destiny. I have to do something about it. As he narrowed his eyes towards the kid. So yeah guys, here I will love this part. Hope you guys enjoyed it. For the next part, you guys already know the like goal, which is gonna be 300 likes and 180 comments. Do that and I shall upload the next part as quick as possible. And yeah guys, I have also put the link of my Instagram within the description below. So please follow me on Instagram as well. And if you have some suggestions in the, you can say, for the next part, please tell me in the comment section. I will think about it. If you want Naruto to be in the arm boost or want him to go into missions into, you can say, as a Ganin, it is up to you. Please tell me in the comment section. And I have some idea of myself, but it would be great to get a bit of idea from you guys. So yeah guys, hopefully you guys enjoy it. So please follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, peace.